What I am going to be talking about is social media and IA or EIA. And I've looked at this. I'm a big believer that technology is in equal parts sort of good and bad. All technology is good and bad. But rather than make it a little bit more interesting, I sort of thought the good, the bad, and the ugly. I think there are some very good things about social media. If we look at informing and getting people more engaged, some numbers just in terms of that. I gave a talk at Porto in 2012. I think I'm the first person in EIA to actually use social media in the title of the presentation. I gave some numbers then, which I've updated. Facebook today has 2.27 billion users. WhatsApp, 1.5 billion. Facebook Messenger, 1.2 billion. Instagram, 1 billion. WeChat in China, 1 billion. Weibo, 431 million users. Facebook, Q3 2018, 350 million photos were uploaded a day. 350 million photos uploaded a day. And Instagram, which is probably more today than Facebook, over 40 billion photos have been uploaded and shared on their platform in the last 8 years. 40 billion. So, is social media good? Yes, certainly it's increasing the engagement, it's increasing the involvement. In terms of the publics and the audiences, social media is how people communicate now. So certainly good in terms of getting youth involved in processes, so increasing the outreach. In terms of the journey, it can be used in the EIA process to share information. I work more in public participation, stakeholder engagement, and certainly I think it's really good in that journey. You can take people through the planning stage, the construction and the operation side using social media and platforms. I think that's good. In terms of the format, in terms of engaging, it's sort of very short form and it's abbreviated, which is good because that's how people communicate now, short attention spans. There are downsides to that. In terms of it allows sharing of images, visualization, 3D, all good. In terms of timing, it's sort of real-time, quick message boards, notifications of events and updates. I think that the use of social media in terms of our industry is good in that sense. I think it's good because you can use it to amplify what I talked about, I think it was in Calgary, amplifying the silent majority of people. So it rebalances perspectives and sort of counters grandstanding, so I think that's good. In terms of branding and PR, it allows proponents to communicate their kind of environmental credentials, whether that's good or bad. It allows people with really solid knowledge to become what we call key opinion leaders, bloggers and microbloggers. That has a negative side as well. It's certainly unstoppable. I mean, I mentioned those numbers. I'm certainly not a technophobe. I do like the Gary Kasparov quote, which is basically lamenting jobs lost to technology is little better than complaining that antibiotics put gravediggers out of work. So I'm certainly not a technophobe. It is unstoppable. In terms of the quality of the engagement, I still see it. Again, I gave a paper talking about sort of moving from monologue to dialogue in terms of engagement. I do think it's the social media is a little bit monologue. Maybe as technology gets better, then we'll move more to a dialogue. The short form nature of data, you can miss all sorts of nuances. I think that's certainly a downside. And then we talked about it, one of the questions from the floor just now was sort of in terms of underrepresentations of audiences, maybe of indigenous, with people without digital connections. Certainly the poorer members of our society maybe get marginalized. and maybe even the older members of our society get mobilized, although whenever I mention that, people always tell me that they can't get their mother or their grandmother off Facebook, so that's maybe not correct. In terms of the ugly, I do think that there is a risk of corruption of the process. The final bullet point is the amplification by the vocal minority, and social media is very good at turning the volume up on things. And quite often, if you can get fooled into thinking that everybody is against a project because one vocal minority is really good at using social media to amplify it, that's not right. But again, you've got the amplification of the silent majority, and so it does have a balancing effect. I think it can create when we're in a public forum, what we're wanting to do is to prevent grandstanding and things like that. There's a risk that this does actually allow grandstanding and skewing. It can be interfered, as everything from Bitcoin can be interfered with. And you can almost digitally and automatically, using blockchain, you can actually be kind of crawling all over the internet if you're a devious proponent, looking at things that come up that you don't like, and almost in real time and automatically can be almost like a tennis match, batting them back, using spiders and crawlers on the internet, which is really quite complicated. The final couple of points is it feeds our bubble. Social media, as we all know, the more information you share, data, it creates a great profile, and you really only end up getting news and feeds that sort of satiate your prejudices and what you want. So you can think that you're in a majority and that everybody thinks like you, but you're just being fed information because of the bubble. Thank you, Joss. The last point, I don't need to say anything more than fake news. Again, corruption of the process. It's quite easy to put a story out. It's difficult to put toothpaste back in a tube. Very easy to get a story out, a very negative story about a project that's just completely incorrect. It's very, very hard to put that toothpaste back in the tube. So, in conclusion, good, bad, and ugly. Thank you.
Thank you.